Hello friends, so let us start this presentation with regards to one of the most sought out areas, which is the personality test that is there for the civil services examination. So personality test, in plain terms also called as the interview popularly, is what is the last and the third stage of the UPSC exam. So this video is a holistic video which will guide you as to what is personality test, what has to be done, what are the steps which has to be taken, and so forth. So let's start this video, and while the video I'll be explaining you through the slides all about the personality test or the interviews of the civil services examination. So interview or the personality test, as I said, this is the third and the final stage of CSE examination. So the first stage, as you all know, is the prelims, the second stage is the mains, and the personality test is the final stage of the civil services examination. So the candidates who clear the main examination are to undergo mandatorily the personality test, which is conducted by the Union Public Service Commission, that is UPSC. Then why is it important? Now personality test is one of the most important stages of the examination, in the sense that it can be a spoiler or it can be a maker. So it has a huge bearing in terms of the getting the selection or not getting the selection. It also hugely impacts you in other critical areas, that is the service selection of your choice, the future cadre allocation which may happen, and so on. So the due importance has to be given for the personality test. So the efforts which you are putting for the prelims examination and mains examination, the more or less it also has to be done in case of the personality test. Now we'll see what has to be done and what we have to avoid while going through the video. Okay, so what is personality test? So basically, what is personality? Now personality is something which is, for a human being, when he was a child of 1 to 5 years, he was developing as a personality. After that, you just add your values, you just add your traits, you just keep on adding your qualities, sharpening your skill, and that is all the culmination of your personality. But when it comes to formally hiring you as an employee, any organization mainly wants to see your personality based on some of these points. Now again, these points are not exhaustive, these are just illustrative. I'm just giving it as examples, like the personal traits. So personal traits are the qualities which you may have, which you may bear. They want to check that. The second thing is the body language. So how is your body language, how you appear, and overall how you maintain yourself. This is what to be seen. Then presentation. Presentation is how you deal with the individuals. Think as you are being an administrator hired by Government of India. They want to see that how you are able to present yourself to the people. They want you to appear as their face when executing the policies. So presentation forms one of the most important attribute that is associated with the personality of the person whom they are hiring. Then comes the main part, which is decision making and the leadership quality. So all you must have been reading about the leadership theories, about the qualities of the leadership. You are preparing for the paper 4, that is ethics and aptitude. All these, or somewhere down the line, boil down that how good decision making you are able to make, and what are your leadership qualities. I'll deal with this point in detail later on in the later slides. And one of the most debated question is, can personality be changed? Now personality is not something which is going to change overnight. As I said, whatever human personality development happens, that happens in the first 5 years of the age. Later on is just the social consequence what a person becomes. So personality cannot be changed overnight. It is a part of you, it is a reflection of you. It is something that how you have been brought up and raised up in the society, and what is your outlook to the world, international affairs, and the social conditions around you. So of course personality cannot be changed, but personality can be conditioned, it can be molded, and of course you may bring yourself in line with the requirements of the organization to which it is being looking you to hire for. So the answer to this question is, of course, I don't think it can be changed, but yes, I will say it can be conditioned, it can be molded, and you can, again, as I said, that reformation is a continuous process. So is the personality building also. It's a continuous process, it's a never ending process. From you being hired till the time you retire in the civil services, your personality will keep on sharpening over the time. Okay, so most important thing is that when the personality test is happening for the civil services interview, what is the basis by which this test is going to be taken? So this is something which is called as the DAF. So every civil service aspirant who has cleared the mains will know what is DAF. DAF is simply detailed application form. So this is the form where you are filling your prima facie details and submitting them to the UPSC. Now UPSC is going through those details, and somewhere it is going to start exploring your personality. They are going to start interviewing you based on the details what you have submitted in the detailed application form. This is a very, very important document. It is a document whereby you are presenting your resume to the UPSC. So you are in short giving the areas which or on which you should expect UPSC to be questioning you. So detailed application form after the mains result during the time of the mains has to be filled. Many a times it happens that candidates fill the detailed application form without obtaining much information from the seniors, teachers or their peers, and at the time of the interview it badly backfires. So my advice would be that you should fill the detailed application form with a lot of analysis. You should anticipate the questions which may come to you about a detail being filled, and you should be able to justify whatever you are filling in the in this particular form. So as I said, details have to be thoroughly revised. So every detail in a detailed application form, every information what is being filled in it can culminate into a question, and it starts right from the meaning of your name. So suppose your meaning of your name, because I faced an interview, that was my first question. So the meaning of your name, the institutions where you might have studied for the schooling or for the college, your field or stream of the graduation, and other such form. So all these details have to be thoroughly revised time and again. So as the interview time nears, you have to go again and again, visit every detail of detail application form. And when I attempted the interview first time, I almost after studying my detail application form, I took a plain page of paper and I started jotting down the questions. So there were about roughly 500 to 600 questions I generated by myself, anticipating that what might have been asked by the Union Public Service Commission. So this exercise has to be done thoroughly and again, and it will only get better by doing out the practice. Now second is the clarity in terms of the choices, service preference, and of course your motivation to join the government service. Now these three are very important areas in your detailed application form. I'll go through these areas in a bit. I have highlighted these three areas separately because I wanted to stress on this factor. So clarity in terms of the choices. So every choice what you make in the detailed application forms, like the service preference and the other things, have to be carefully written. You have to be able to justify it. Suppose I am putting IPS above or ahead of IAS. So what was the factor which promoted this? Or I am opting for the foreign service before this. So what is the foreign service domain, or what is the foreign service motivation? What has factored me to put it above? Similarly, I should be able to justify all my service preferences and able to answer any question what might have been put onto it. The second is the motivation to join the government service. Now this is a question which badly bothers everyone. Why am I joining a government service? This question is again and again, time and again, it has been asked. People have devised tons of answer for it. Some say for the social service, some say because I want a professional career satisfaction. But again, there are lots of catches in those words. So you have to again anticipate and you prepare this area very, very well, that why you're particularly joining a government service. The third is the hobbies section. I'm again not going into detail for the motivation of this, because that is entirely up to you, this particular factor. Although there are 4 or 5 broad areas which justifies the government service, why you wanted to join, but again it depends on your personal, you need to devise those answers. So I had written the answer for this in the 4 lines, and I thoroughly revised it again and again as to what I'm going to speak, and I also anticipated any other questions which might be asked on this area. The third area which bothers the candidates is the hobbies section. Now hobbies section is a section which has to be again carefully sought out and carefully taken, because hobbies is an area across which a wide number of questions can be asked. Suppose you are putting a hobby as watching films or movies. Now what genre of the films, which were the first films, what are the international level prizes other than Oscars for the films, where is the Film Festival of India held, what is Ministry of I&B developing for the putting in place for the film, what are the policies with related to film making, what does Central Board of certification for the film. I can ask 500 questions right now on the hobby of one word, which is watching the films. So you need to anticipate such questions when you are putting the hobbies. It can be any hobby, it is not defined. UPSC doesn't restrict you. Any physical workout, jogging or trekking can be your hobby, or anything like writing the blogs can be your hobby, computer gaming can be your hobby, watching the movies can be your hobby, playing the guitar can be your hobby. So it can be anything, but whatever you are writing, my point here is that whatever you are writing, be very, very thoroughly prepared, practice a lot as to what might come and how you are going to answer it. Okay, so now personal traits to be checked. In the previous slide we had in a short discussed about this particular personal traits as to what should be there or what you think the UPSC can be. So I have again highlighted some of the personal traits. Again, this is not something which is, again, as I said, exhaustive, because there can be many other traits they might be looking for. But what over the years, what I came to know, or what we discuss, or what informations I exchanged with the batchmates and the people who are selected, is that more or less the areas of the question which are put to candidate, somewhere I feel that these are some of the prominent areas which they might be looking for. So the number one area is the humility. It is the most important factor. You have to be humble. It should show in your answering when you are putting your answers or opinions to the board. There should be no sign of any arrogancy or any false ego there. They should be able to see you as a humble person. So this is the most important factor. I'll rate it as number one. So if any interview board is there, he will rate it as number one factor in any administrator, because tomorrow when you will be occupying high positions, humility should be there. Otherwise the purpose of hiring you, or the other factors, you may be efficient, but if you are not humble, you may not be able to carry your team, or you may not be able to serve the people in that sense. So I think much weight is accorded to it. Then you have to be an optimized decision maker. Now what is optimized decision maker is that in many things you have to balance the things. You have to balance your resources. You may have a limited man material. How are you going to get the things done? Lots of questions are put to check this factor in the interviews. So this is one of the trait which is highly checked by UPSC. Third is the arbitrator and conflict manager. Now always when you are going to deal with the social groups or the charges which you are going to hold when in the government, imagine, all I am saying is that imagine you are holding the charges and all. So there is always going to be a lot of requirement for this arbitration and conflict management thing. So lot of stress nowadays is also on this trait. They want you to be able to bring the people to resolutions. So this trait is also highly checked. Then there is dedication, devotion, passion. Are you willing to travel to the lengths and breadths of the country, to carry what you are saying? So is there the amount of the dedication what you are putting for the examination should also be the dedication you will carry forward in your service, and the devotion and the passion which you are going to bring with you is going to help the nation build the future. So again these traits are checked. Then innovation, many a times they put the question whereby they want to check the innovative ability. Sometimes they pose the question and they ask you for a solution. So innovation is a way of solving or a unique attribute or a unique outlook to solve a particular problem. So they will put a lot of questions to you and ask the solutions to you. So you should be able to think on the critical analysis part of the issues which are going on in the society. For example, suppose now a lot of communities are asking for the reservations. So what is the solution? Are we going to give reservation to every society or the every community? Then the purpose of reservation which was there when scheduled caste and scheduled tribes were amended in the constitutions, will that be get defeated? So such things requires innovation, and how long are we going to continue with it, or whether we should or we should not. So all such things, I'm just giving the example with regards to the innovation. Then comes the final one of the attribute which I think is the key area, is the troubleshooter. Now troubleshooter is someone who may be able to turn around the situation, who may be able to find the particular solution of the problem there and on that spot itself. Especially the people who are opting for IPS, be very thorough with this troubleshooting factor, because you are never going to get the reaction time to it, the situation. They will ask you about section 144, about curfews, about shootouts, about fake encounters, about a lot of things, So how are you going to handle these trouble situations? So this is also one of the attribute or a personality test which is highly checked by the UPSC. Then there is other points which are the ethical viewpoints. Now ethical viewpoints are basically the rights, ability to distinguish rights or wrongs. We always read in the books, but what happens is that the particular thing, whether it is, and nowadays as we see over a lot of issues, there are frictions about what is right and what is wrong, and there are a lot of debates over the social media handles also with regards to right and wrong. So this ability to distinguish and this ability to choose is what forms your ethical viewpoint. So you should be able to justify a balanced approach when you are answering this ethical viewpoint. Always remember, these questions are just to see whether you have a balanced thinking, because in ethical question there is never going to be any right or wrong. Means there cannot be a thing which is 100% right, or there cannot be a thing which is 100% wrong. It is a gray area, but you have to take a balanced decision about what has to be done. Then similarly, there is honesty and integrity. Now this is an ethical factor which they check. They may pose a lot of question to you in terms of the overall situation of the administration in the country, how the people and the bureaucrats are there, the levels of the corruption, the integrity which you may hold or which you may not hold. They may ask you the solutions with regards to those problems. So honesty and integrity is an ethical viewpoint which is highly tested by UPSC. Then is the truthful and upholding of the morals. So again, the other things like transparency, whether you will be holding all the things and all. So the other moral values along with all these ethical viewpoints. Again, this is just exhaustive. There can never exist any list of the ethical or the trait personalities, but just I wanted to highlight you that you should be able to get the motivation or the intention behind asking you the questions. So I have put it in a PowerPoint slide. But again, no one can prepare the list of the whole traits in one of the slides. Okay, now starts a very important factor. When are you going to start the preparation of the interview? So preparation of the interview, as I said, starts first at the filling of the detailed application form. So detailed application form, when you fill, is a kind of resume which you are submitting to the UPSC. So that is the first stage of preparation. But again, as I said, that although this is a pro forma to be filled, the actual preparation starts later on. So the dedicated preparation starts after the conduct of the mains. So once you have given for the mains, so normally in terms of mains to interview, there is a time gap of 4 to 5 months. So once you have attempted your mains, you are over with a very critical battle, because I call it a critical battle because it will be long, it will be tiresome, it will test your patience. So after mains, maybe you can take a few days gap, you can go into an hobby which you like, and then after you start preparation for the mains. Now as you start for the preparation for the mains, you need to for the interview. So as you start the preparation for the interviews, first of all you should, I'll go into the detail in the later slides, but first of all try to explore yourself in the first few days. Assume that you are going to clear the mains on the last day of the mains itself. You assume it and keep your confidence high that I'm going to clear the mains. Now I have to appear for the interview. And you start thinking. As soon as you start thinking this, you will mold yourself and your overall behavior of 24 hours automatically, and you will come into that mode of appearing for the interview. So this dedicated preparation, it should start after mains, because by the time you attempt mains, you might have read a lot of things, you might have done analysis over a lot of issues, so you have become a lot more thinking individual than you are what you were at before the starting of the prelims. So dedicated preparation of the interviews, as I think, should begin after you have attempted the mains, because you will be in a lot more comfortable position and you will be able to appreciate this particular stage of the examination a lot more. Then ensure the physical and the mental fitness. Now this is something which you should focus on after giving the mains, because you will be having some time for yourself. So maybe ensure the physical fitness. If suppose you think that you are in a bad shape because of lot of hours you have put in the study, you might not be in a full physical fitness form. So maybe you can take some activity or a sport which you may like. Maybe you can start jogging or working out, or maybe swimming or cycling or anything what you like, to get yourself into physical fitness. Because the personality, no one would like to see a personality who is bad in terms of the physical fitness. So you should appear fit. It is they should see you as a person who can who is fully physically fit, and he can perform his duties to the fullest. Then the other is the mental fitness. Now mental fitness is surely the endurance, or surely the certain things like which may hold your brain, or which may give a working capacity to your brain, and also at the same time keep yourself calm, like meditation or yoga or vipassana or any other things. You can also go for hearing calm music in the evenings and such things. So it will ensure that you are mentally fit, you are a lot more thinking individual, and you are basically calm and you believe in yourself. So that is what is required. Okay, now what to read? Now comes the along with the physical and mental fitness, what you should do in those 4 months. Now you have read lot of things. By the time you have given mains, you have practically read a lot of things, a lot of books. Now what you should do? This is my recommendation, my list. It may vary from candidate to candidate. Many people might have read few more things, but I've just jotted down the basic things which is irreplaceable. I'm sure any candidate who has cleared the interview will certainly suggest you this. So first, go for 2 daily national newspapers, preferably the Hindu and the Indian Express. Why? Because I believe they have good editorials, they have balanced editors, and they will be able to give you a lot of critical analysis in the articles. So I think the 2 daily national newspapers will keep you abreast with everything what is happening around you. So 2 hours each, maybe 4 hours a day you can go, or 1 paper in the morning and 1 in the evening, whatever your schedule suits you. I would suggest that 2 daily national newspapers are a must while preparing for the interviews. Second is current affairs and news channel watching. So there are a lot of quality debates on the news channel also. I would suggest you to refrain from any spicy news or the political news which goes. Rather, you should focus on the news which will be informative and where critical debates happen. Like Lok Sabha TV is there, Rajya Sabha TV is there, Doordarshan is there. So and few shows in few of the news channels are there where good panels come. So you should go for such, because that will again, and it may happen that the questions which are happening in the news channel debate may be asked to you by the UPSC board. Then there are current affairs. There are a lot of things. There are magazines available, there are a lot of stuffs available nowadays in the market. So basically the point should be that you must be aware around, because what happens is during interview, suppose a board asks you question about some current affairs or an issue which is going on and you are unaware of it. So there are two things happen. It will not affect, it doesn't matter if I say that I don't know the answer. What matters is that while saying this, you yourself will become underconfident. Suppose you enter the boardroom and he asks you the question about a current affairs and you say that I don't know, and that is your first question. It may impact the rest or the other 15 minutes of your interview, because you may feel demoralized or you may feel that I am not able to answer the question. So this is something which you should watch for. The current affairs, should you till the day or the time of going into the interview hall, you should try to read the current affairs and these things. Then one state level newspaper of local language. Now all of us will be from different parts of India. The state issues are generally not covered in these national newspapers, and UPSC keeps a tabs on the state issues. So most of the time it happens that suppose you are from Punjab and the farmer protests are going on now, he may ask you regarding this particular thing, or there may be intricacy issue like in Maharashtra. They used to ask about droughts in Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh, Telangana areas. So such state level newspapers cover the issues more than the national newspapers, because their focus is more at the state level. So you may take any good one state level newspaper and try to read it. Then statistics at the district level. So when you are preparing for the interviews, you jot down all the points of your district where you are from. Now this information is easily available in your collectorate websites of the various districts or the state government websites, like the number of primary schools, number of health centers, number of institutions, colleges, number of vocational training programs. There is tons of information. The number of dispensaries you have, primary health centers you have, the sex ratio in your district, and any other such information. So all these informations should be running in your head continuously. Go on, jot the points, go on, revise and practice. That's the only solution for these statistics, and they will highly appreciate it. If you have such a grip over the data, it will be highly appreciated by the UPSC also. Then there are the 4 pillars, the popular 4 pillars. Go and revise it once in a while. Of course, nothing stops UPSC from again going in the areas, even your optionals also. But I will not stress much on this factor, because whatever this is has already been tested in the prelims and mains. The fact that you are coming in the interview after amongst the some 5 lakh odd people you are reaching in the last 1 or 2,000 persons itself indicates that you have sound knowledge of these 4 pillars. So UPSC is not going to stress much on this, but again you should not be caught off guard. So you revise it, and the basic concepts like the polity, it's important. Like suppose any debate is going on, it has roots to the polity, and suddenly the interview panel throws a question about this and you are not able to recall. I won't say you don't know, because you might have been knowing, you have already read it, but you are not able to recall because you have not revised. So go for a light revision. GDP, GNP and all these concepts of economy, it should not cause any inflation, cost price indexing and this that. They should not cause confusion on the right time. Okay, so just to like avoid any surprises, you revise it. Then development on international fronts. There are a lot of candidates who have faced question, be it whether they have preferred foreign service or whether they have not preferred foreign services, but still they may get a lot of question on the international fronts, because international fronts test your diplomatic value. And diplomacy is not just on the international front, it is also a trait which is there in the local administration. Maybe the ingredient and the nature of it is different than what is with the other countries, but you should be thorough with these international fronts, because they will ask you a lot of questions, especially India and the neighborhood and the solutions for it. Of course you might have already read it, but revise the points, be balanced in your approach. Recently the India-China conflict has happened, and there are a lot of debate happening in the parliaments and media, social media channels regarding this, whether we have handed over the territory or not handed over the territory, and whether we have done right or not done right, and many such things are there. So they might ask you, or they would like to know your opinion on such international issues. So development on an international front is also a very, very important area. Normally go for the newspaper editorials and the balanced editorials, which will keep you in a good which will help you in forming good opinions on such issues. Okay, now the one of the very important part of the personality test is the body language tips. So I have summarized few. Again, this cannot be exhaustive, but these are some of the very, very basic factors which you need to keep in mind. So for the first factor is they avoid or minimize the hand gestures. Now a lot of candidates raise the hands like this while speaking. It's not appreciated by the board, because you should either keep your positions the cross-handed like the one I am keeping, or you may just have a momentary hand gestures like this. It should not go wavy in the air, as it would cause a very, very bad sign. Then second is sit erect. A lot of times the people tend to sit in a bent position on the chair. You should be sitting erect and in a straight position as normally. So it will also show that you are alert and you are sincere. Their body posture will automatically convey to them. Then don't show any signs of anxiety or nervousness. Now what happens is that, of course, there will be a lot of pressure on you when you are going to go or enter into that interview area, but do not let it overcome you in terms of your body language. Like, don't shake the hands, don't shiver, keep your face calm, look straight. So all these signs of anxiety or nervousness should not affect you. I know inside there is no candidate who is not nervous or who is not anxious. So at least I can say I have attempted 4 interviews. All the times I was either anxious or nervous, and anyone who has given cannot deny that he was not anxious or nervous. Everyone, he or she is, but you should not show it on your body language. So that is this important point. Now keep a good eye contact. Eye contact is the first gesture which you show to a person, and it indicates that you are receptive, you are ready to hear him as well as engage in a conversation with him. So always keep an eye contact to the board. Normally there is a circular table arrangement, so the board members may be sitting in a circle around you and you may be sitting in the middle. So you keep the maximum eye contact with the person who is answering you the question, but at the same time you can momentarily look to the other persons to make sure that they are also the part of the conversation. And it may also happen that other members may ask you some cross question, so you need to keep a good eye contact while answering the question. Don't drop the shoulders. Now many people do like this. It's not appreciated. It shows the sign of non-confidence. As I said, sit erect, keep your shoulders tight. It will convey to them that you are facing the things confidently, taking the things as they come. Now enter and leave the room with confidence. Now whenever you are entering into the room and you are leaving in the room, your body language should be that of the confidence. You should walk calmly, take the footsteps at a like a casual walk, but it shouldn't be a walk in the park. It should be a walk of the confidence. So enter and leave the room with confidence. That is you should make sure while entering also and while leaving also. If you feel inside, automatically it will show in your body language. The reason for writing this is that just to make you aware of that. Then don't look back when leaving. Now many a times what happens is that normally the door is on the far end of the room. The interview board is sitting, the rooms are big, so you have to walk in to the interview board, and when you are returning back you have to again head to the door. Now don't look back. It's like you are checking something at your back. Once the interview is over, just leave. That's it. You need not look the board and the panel again. Whatever they wanted to observe you, they have asked you, they have observed you. If they have found you competent enough, they will pick you. So don't worry about that. Never look back. It gives and sometimes, most of the times, it may also happen that they might want to discuss something as you immediately get up and turn. So maybe they may be talking amongst themselves, maybe bol rahe honge ki, yeah, nice interview, good interview, and you suddenly turn back. Now that might just create something which they might not anticipate. So don't look back. Normally these things don't happen, but you should not look back when you are leaving, because your job is over. You have attempted the personality test. Knock the door with confidence while entering. Now this is also again important. Normally there is a person who will come, who will call your name, make you sit outside the cabin of the interview boards, and who will take you inside. So it may also happen that you may need to knock the door. Sometimes he may open the door, sometimes he may ask you to knock. So when you are knocking, it should be a double threaded sound, thuk thuk. That should be the sound which should come, and it should be a confident knock. It should be a sound which should not be much, but it should not be less. Your hands should be properly on the door, as if you are attempting that, let me come in, I want to face the interview. So knock the door with confidence. It is your moment. You have come there after a lot of efforts, and interview board also appreciates that. So these are some of the tips of the body language. Again, there are tons of the things which cannot be summarized, but these are some of the very basic common things which you need to develop. Now how to dress for the interview. Now this is again a very, very important thing. Of course you will be briefed by a lot of people, by the seniors, by the teachers, or the mock interviews you may attempt, that how should you be dressed. But I have just highlighted some of the basic things. Now gentlemen should be dressed in smart formals, so the trouser and the shirts, and tie should be there, because I personally feel that open collars won't look good. So you may wear a tie because it will give you a more formal look. Now there are a lot of people who also have the blazers or the three-piece suits and all that. It's not going to make any difference in the marks. So let's be clear, whether you are just having a smart formal dress with a tie, or whether you are having a blazer, is not going to make any difference in the mark. It is on your comfort level. If you are able to carry the blazer well, if you are able to walk around with well, you have the habit of wearing it, you can carry yourself well, go for it. But again, there is also that the weather is very, very hot. So normally the interviews are at the months where in New Delhi it is a lot of heat is around there. So once you enter the building, it's not that much hot, but you know, before you being entered into building, because you will reach the venue in advance, so it might happen that in 10 or 15 minutes you may just stand in the sun and you may get hot, and because of the blazer it might again make you feel a lot of sweatiness around you, and it may just create a mess. So it is again your personal choice. A lot of candidates wear it, a lot of don't wear. I personally didn't prefer it, but it's entirely up to you. Now ladies may dress in the Indian wear, that is the formal Indian attires, that is the sari and salwar. Avoid any bold makeups or fancy jewelry, that is the basic thing. For gentlemen, you should be clean shaved. Now actually you should groom yourself well, so they will expect that you have a nice haircut, you are clean shaved, and there's no need of taking any beauty treatments. In fact, avoid beauty treatments, because what happens is, a lot of time you may happen to go for some treatment and it may have an allergic reactions to the skins. So no need to do anything. Just have a good haircut, shave or clean shave, or maybe properly, you know, trim your beard, and that's it. Wear polished shoes. This is again a basic tip for the grooming, that whenever you are going, just before the day of the interview, you can polish your shoes. Okay, a night before the interview. Now this is a night which is very critical, because you are not going to get any sleep in this. The first point I've put is that sleep at least 4 to 5 hours. It's very important, friends. It's extremely important, because if you are not sleeping, it is directly going to show on your face the day afterwards. So it is very, very important. You are going to have tough time. You may be very anxious, shifting from one end to another of the bed, but you will not get sleep. But please anyhow try to sleep for 4 to 5 hours, and 4 hours of deep sleep is sufficient to carry you. What happens is that normally a night before interview, many persons don't sleep. It causes acidity. The morning you wake, it creates a dull look on your face. Your presence of the mind is lowered while answering the question. The pleasantness of the face is lost. So avoid it. Sleep at least 5 to hours. Try to sleep at least 4 to 5 hours. And it's not, I know you will not be able to sleep 8 or 10 hours, but of course a good deep sleep or 4 to 5 hours is sufficient enough to carry you for another 15 hours ahead in the day. Drink lot of water or fluid. So sip on the juices, water, lot of things. Avoid caffeinated things, but drink lots of water. So it will keep you hydrated. and it will also keep you refreshed. So till the time inside also the UPSC, there are facilities, drinking water facilities. So carry a bottle of water with you, because it is extremely hot, the weather is extremely hot. Avoid any intake of food or any spicy stuff. So all these tips have come on based on experiences, not of me but many of my friends or colleagues. So you should avoid any heavy intake of food. Preferably go for a very light meals, because as the anxiety builds, or if you are doing any critical job and you are awake for many hours and you are not able to sleep, automatically your digestion suffers, and you would not like anything to happen to you on the day of the interview. So avoid any spicy stuff. Take a very plain meal, preferably a vegetarian meal which is easy to digest and in a low amounts. So avoid any heavy intake of the food. The candidates, again, who are there might be many candidates who are traveling outside the Delhi. So prior to coming to Delhi, you need to make the arrangements well in advance. Don't say that I will go and search the accommodation on that day. Avoid this, because unnecessarily it will affect your critical time. Means what will happen is that while coming to Delhi, if your accommodation is not booked in advance, you will search on that day and you will be wasting time moving in the hot sun and traveling around searching for the accommodation. So rather than this, avoid it. Also, I would like to suggest here that most of the state governments have their guest houses or have their circuit houses based in Delhi, and many of them are open for the UPSC candidates. So like there is Andhra Bhavan, there is Maharashtra Sadan, there is Rajasthan House or the Bikaner House. All these are state government accommodations and they are given to the UPSC candidates. So you can attempt to book these state guest houses, as it has a good canteen facility. It is also low in the budget. You can easily stay there, and rest all the facilities are good. Plus they are also nearby to the UPSC venue, so you need not travel very far also. So you can make use of these facilities. Then talk with your close friends, members and teachers. A night before, it's very important, because it will keep you calm. Just have a random talk with your friends, with your family, with your teachers. Try to take your mind away from the interview. You have put a lot of efforts now. You have done everything what is required. You are prepared, you are confident, you're going to go there and perform. So try to just discuss anything what you may make you feel better, take your mind a little away from the interview thing. Then keep reading only the newspapers. Now I would say that whatever you have put in the efforts have already been compiled with you. Now as interview nears, leave everything. Just leave everything. Only continue to read the newspapers. That's it. No history, geography, polity, economy. Now you have done it. All is prepared. The detailed application form has been revised a number of times. Everything you have done. Now directly you have to go into the interview. So now there is no need of anything. Just keep reading the newspapers, because it might happen that some important news crops up in the morning, and suppose your interview is scheduled and your interview member might have read that newspaper and you are unaware of it. So just to avoid that, you should keep the newspapers reading till the time you enter, or you may have interview in the morning session or in the afternoon session, but the newspaper recently available should be read. And of course nowadays Google is there, so critical news directly come online, so you can again browse through those also. Okay, on the day of the interview, now the interview day has finally arrived. You have reached the venue in advance, so this is one of the requirement. Avoid reaching late, because what happens is that 15 or 20 minutes late, your anxiety will shoot up. Believe me, it will shoot up, because this is something which you have aspired. You have put 1 year of hard efforts, and just because of this late reaching, I have not seen any candidates who has reached late, but it is just a pointer I have kept in PPT to reach well in advance. So well in advance is that it is a comfort zone. 10-15 minutes ahead of the before the security guard allows you to enter into the UPSC premises, you have reached there in advance. You may be standing there looking at some fellow candidates, so these cools you down a bit. Then engage into talk with fellow candidates. Now there may be many of them be with you. Just normally, casually, you can talk with them, engage in talk with them, because they are also your colleagues. They will help you, or maybe a casual talk may result into some fact which actually is being asked in the interview. So engage in the talks. Drink water. Again, I'm telling you again and again, is because dehydration is your enemy during interview. Drink lots of water. Keep on drinking the water before, after, or during the interview. If you feel during the interview the board has kept the facility for a glass of water in front of you, you can ask them that, and you can drink if you want. So, but if you have drink the water before entering the room, then you are automatically hydrated. You won't feel the necessity, and unnecessarily your attention will not go to that. So my advice is that keep on drinking the water till the time you are entering the interview room. Observe the UPSC building very carefully. See, this is something which is come out of experience. Again, the circular structure of the UPSC building, as you enter, there are a lot of paintings by prominent artists, there are a lot of good plants, lot of boards, lot of information is there, what it was called previously, what has happened, how the structure of the building cropped up. So observe that building carefully. It might happen that they may just ask you what have you seen while coming inside the building. So all these, then complete the formalities. There are few detailed forms to be filled when you enter in. So the UPSC personnel are there to help you. So you need to sit there and complete all those formalities. Okay, now facing the board. Now as you enter into the room, as I said, normally there's a circular table arrangement. Usually there are 5 to 6 members in a board. There will be one chairperson or the chairman of the board. Now these people, remember that these people are very, very senior people. They are from the diverse field. They might be from the field of the academics or from some social area of reformations. They might be PhDs in the universities. They are very, very senior personnel. So have respect for them, because they have seen a lot of, you may be ahead of them in terms of the knowledge of some areas, but they are much ahead than you in terms of the age and the experience. So give them the due respect, whatever it is, and you should also appreciate them that they have come there to evaluate you. Then you should have a small smile. So a small gentle smile on the face. Of course, if there is a grim nature of the question, drop that smile. If there is a critical question like people have died in Pulwama attack, so squeeze your smile on that front. But otherwise, appear pleasant, maintain a small smile throughout. It will make them also feel better and you also feel better. So that is what is needed. Greet the board very well. Now when we enter, the timing is important. Till 12 o'clock it is good afternoon. After that this good evening session starts from 4 o'clock, sorry, before 12 and up till 12 it's good morning, and from 12 to 4 it's afternoon. From 4 and above it ahead is evening. So pardon me for if I'm making any mistake. So greet the board very well. So the time when you enter, you should remember what and how you are going to greet the board. Turn the head to the member while answering. Now as I said, during the point of the eye contact, you can slightly tilt your head because it is a circular arrangement. So you may have to turn yourself into 180 degrees. So turn to the member when you are answering the particular question. Now there may be some boards where a lady member may be there. So you have to, as you enter the room, I would prefer that you greet the lady member first, because as a mark of the courtesy and respect towards the lady member, you can greet her first, and then you can greet the chairperson of the board, and then to the other gentlemen persons who are sitting in the board. So board will also appreciate that you have paying due respects and first greeting the lady member. So if any lady member, there can also be a lady member who is a chairperson of the board and another member who is a lady member of the board. If such situation happens, you greet the chairman first, because by the virtue of being chairperson of the board and by the virtue of being lady, she should be greeted first. Again turn and greet the other lady members and then the rest of the members of the board. So it is a very important, because these things will form the first impression of yourself and your personality before the board, before they start answering you. So it's very important. Now, utility of the mock interviews. Now there are many classes, or there are many training institutes which are offering you the mock interviews. Now what happens is the utility of mock interview. I also attempted many mock interviews. You can attempt mock interviews because it will train you. Before actually entering into the battlefield, you are training yourself to face the interview boards. So it will train you to handle the situation. There can be situational questions put forth to you, and normally the mock interviews where also they also may have the facility of some retired professors or retired bureaucrats who will come there in their panel. So check out some good panels and attempt the mock interviews. It will help you to train yourself. Improve the tone of speaking. Now tone of the speaking is something which the mock interviews will help you assist. It should not be too loud, it should not be too less, because too loud is not appreciated, too less will sound to be too underconfident. It should be proper. The throw of the sentences should be even. The tone itself also gives itself also has the power of expression. So the tone of the speaking makes a lot of difference, and your mock interviews which are going to be there, they're going to train you for that. Then boost the confidence. As you attempt to give them more and more mock interviews, it will keep on boosting your confidence. So again, this step is very important. It will give you a sense of how it can be when you enter the room, and if you have visualized this sense while giving the mock interviews, it will automatically, you will be confident on the day when you will be entering into the UPSC. Then the fourth is the situational decision making. As I had already said you, this is the offshoot of this point. There are a lot of questions which even mock interviews, like the disaster management questions and all that, it will help you to decide what is the best outcome or the set of actions in that particular scenario. So this particular situational decision making is a very important point which will be covered in the mock interviews. Practice to make you perfect. Now again, giving interviews or a personality test is something which cannot be codified anywhere. But what happens is that by the virtue of doing it again and again, you might form a practice of it. You might just start to develop that art of facing the board, or those 15 minutes or 20 minutes before the board, in a very right manner. So that is why it will make you or head you toward a perfection, and ultimately make you better than any of the competitive or most of the competitive candidates which are with you. Finally, this is the last slide of my presentation, my personal experience. Now, I faced 4 interviews in different boards during my civil services journey. 2011 was the first interview I had faced, where I had received the highest marks. After that, I was never able to score that much marks. But what I can confidently say is that I was never damaged by any interview. So no interview significantly dent me in terms of number of marks. So I can confidently say that I may be somewhat an average mediocre performer, or a safe candidate in terms of the interview mark scoring, because all my marks never significantly put me out of race from the main score. So after facing these 4 interviews, and all the 4 interviews with the diverse board, in my experience, it's very important, the points which I have jotted down, which I have already told you. But more than that, it is something, friends, that it cannot be built up in a day. Like, you have to have a retrospective personality, a retrospection inside, to explore the best out of you. And always remember that there are going to be few routine questions, and there are going to be few questions which is going to change your fate. And those questions, if you are able to tack it perfectly, those 1 or 2 questions the board will surely put you, and if you are able to turn around that well, you are going to certainly land in a very good position. So always see the interview in terms of that. you should be able to turn around the negative questions also into positive environments. So such things will only happen. There is no clear cut tailor made formula for this. It will only happen when you have taken all the steps which I have briefed you, you have practiced it over and over again, you have discussed with your seniors, colleagues, teachers, and after that only this art can be mastered and perfected. So my experience, if I can share in a few words, is that I was asked a diverse level of questions from my biodata, from the place where I am there, from my professional working. 2 interviews I attempted when I was already in the service, so some questions were also placed from the service and my transition points. But fortunately I can say that none of the interview boards allotted me, like during our times it was a 300 marks interview. None of the board handed me any time anywhere less than 150 marks in the interviews. So at least I can say I was able to avoid the major mistakes. All you can do is able to avoid a major mistake. But there are some points or the some days, it's just your day, it is just a godsend day for you to get selected in the examination, and you find a right question which you answer very fantastically, and that is how you get a score above 180s, 190s or 200s. So a day will come, believe in yourself, follow all the points, what we can best do we must do, and leave the rest of the things in the hands of the God. All will go well for you. So on this note I end my presentation here. I hope you find this video useful.